Hi, my name's Julie and I work with Accomplished Quilting. To find out more about Accomplished Quilting, go to www.accomplishedquilting.com. I'm here today to show you how easy it is to load an Innova quilting machine. I have a quilt top here and the backing, and I want to show you the first steps of preparation that goes into loading your quilt. I've laid my backing down on my table and then my top on the backing the way I want it positioned, and I'm making sure that I have extra fabric on both sides, and I also have fabric down at the bottom. I know I'm not going to run out of fabric. That's really important. You don't want to load it the wrong direction. Before we start loading, I want to show you that the leaders are marked. This one says top because the quilt top will be pinned to it. This roller has a leader that says back because you'll be pinning the quilt back to it, and you'll also be pinning the quilt back to the take-up leader. The take-up leader is the one that will take up all 3 layers of your quilt as it's quilted. The first step for pinning on your project will be to pin on the quilt top. You can see I have my project oriented the way I would like it to be quilted, and I have already found the center of the bottom of the quilt top, and the way I did that is just by folding this in half, and that way I know that this is definitely the center. At this point I'm going to pick up the top leader and bring it up so that it rests on top of this other bar. I'm taking the quilt top and bringing the back of that top to the back of the leader. And I'm matching up the safety pin with a pre-marked center of this leader. The first pin that goes in will be right in the center of the top, in the center of the leader. And I'm putting the pins in parallel to the edge, approximately a 1/4 inch of the way down. You want to make sure that you do definitely catch the backing. If this frays, you would have a little trouble. It might come loose while you're quilting. So now I'm working from the center out, and your pins can go whichever direction you want them to go. I'm left-handed, so I'm putting my pins in facing the right. And I'm basting, or pin basting, the top on, and I'm making sure that I do not distort the quilt top. I'm not stretching it because I want to make sure that it is square. The last pin I put in, I always put in the opposite direction, and that helps lock the pin so it doesn't come out very easily. Now that I've done one side, I'll do the other. I like to pin on quilts sometimes the night before I'm going to do the project. It's kind of nice to come down to my studio in the morning and have that all ready. The pins should be relatively close together but not overlapping. My goal is to have just a little space between them. And there I put the last one in the opposite direction. Time to roll up the quilt top, and so I'm at the back of the table stretching this out so that I can use the pickup bar to help me roll things up nice and straight, because the way this rolls off the bar is the way the quilt is going to lay flat. It's really important. Now I'll go to the side here and just pin it up, and you can see how nicely the quilt top is rolling on. Sometimes you have to stop and straighten things out, but this is going on really nicely. Once the quilt falls off the top, then you know that you don't need to roll it up anymore. And you can just let it hang freely here. You don't want it to touch the floor. Now the top has been, now we're ready to put the backing onto the frame. I'm positioning the backing on the table that I want it quilted. So the seams that are facing up, because I want that to be inside the quilt. And I'll lay this on top of the take-up bar. Once again, I'm making sure I have the center. And I'm taking this fabric and putting the right side of the fabric to the back side of the leader. The way I'm showing you how to load the quilt, every time you are pinning, you're always pinning into the canvas first. I find that the easiest way to remember. And then when it's time to take the quilt off, it's the easiest way to be able to access the pins. Let's go to the back of the table and pin the other side. It's critical that the leader comes underneath the dead bar or the bottom bar. So I'm lifting the leader up over the top of the take-up bar and then matching my center again. So I've put my first pin in just the same way. It's centered on my backing, and at this point I don't really need the safety pin anymore. And then I will straighten out my leaders and lay my fabric across it so that I can pin that on easily. And work from the center out once again.